Hello, my loves. My name is Naomi Miraz, and in this video, I'm going to be going over some deeply cyclical and magical ways that we can connect and reawaken that cyclical feminine nature that us women contain, as well as intentional and authentic ways that I like to practice being able to connect with my 4 cycles, my inner seasons, and the rhythms of my hormones, my spirit, my embodiment, as well as different practices that I do, different spiritual routines, different meals that I like to incorporate throughout the month, as well as so many other mystical ways on how I feel I'm able to connect with my feminine energy and my cyclical nature. So from menstrual, follicular, ovulatory to luteal, I'll be going over all of these phases, what they mean, how our body and our mind, our mood, our productivity is constantly changing, and different ways on how I have been able to heal from my own personal feminine healing journey, how this looks like for me, how I'm able to weave in my life and my daily practices and responsibilities to align with my different hormonal fluctuations, my energy levels, and overall spiritual well-being. So the first cycle, my loves, I'm going to dive in is our menstrual cycle, that inner winter, and can also be seen as the new moon or the dark moon. So in this period of our hormonal phase, we are at our lowest energy levels. Not only is our estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, all of these hormonal fluctuations in our body are at their lowest. So therefore, our spirit, our mind is really calling for us to be able to wind down and really try to get still and reflect on these seasons. And we can think about it like, the winter time. What are our animal creatures doing? They are hibernating, they are resting, they're sleeping. They are really cultivating a time of deep rest. In this period, it is really important that you're giving to yourself, that you're able to honor your bleed and really give yourself the time and honor your body in this period. Again, these seasons are constantly fluctuating at a cyclical pace, so we don't jump from one season to the other. It's subtly transitioning to the next season. So it's important to connect that to nature, but also how our body is feeling. So usually during my bleed, I am not working out at all, and the first couple of days especially, I'm really prioritizing rest, being able to nap potentially, or even just some light stretching if I'm feeling a bit more crampy or just a little more stagnant. And then towards the second half, once my hormones slowly start to rise, I will potentially go on a walk, maybe even try some yin yoga to really honor my body, to give back to this vessel, really try to kind of massage and release that energy that is no longer serving me. Again, we're symbolically connecting this to menstruating, we're shedding, we're releasing and letting go of anything that no longer serves us. It's a really great time to go ahead and do that and listen to your body. Your body is always your greatest teacher. These are just things that I love to do, the things that have worked for me throughout the past couple of years and months. So really just honor yourself, listen to your own inner wisdom, because you all probably know what's better for your body than I do. As for food, I really try to prioritize eating some deeply nourishing, warm foods such as soups and stews, things that are really going to help my womb during this time. And cold foods aren't necessarily really beneficial, since our digestive system and our whole uterine lining is really at work and at play. So eating raw foods can kind of mess with our stomach a little bit, especially if it's trying to digest raw uncooked vegetables and fruits, it can be a little bit more difficult. So I really try to incorporate those nice boiled or stewed veggies, things like a soup that is really nourishing, has a bunch of multivitamins, complex carbs, and even some whole hearty protein to really try to gain back that iron and the blood that we are losing. So I do not eat meat, but if you do, you could go ahead and eat that. Or even fish, I like to incorporate some salmon, things that are really good in omega-3s, fatty like avocados, lentil beans, kidney beans, dark leafy greens, all rhyming. Things like sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, being able to incorporate even some dark chocolate, and again, those really nice nourishing proteins that are gonna help us to replenish those minerals that we are losing throughout our cycle. Lastly, I love to support myself in some kind of routinely or spiritual practice. So during this time, again, I'm feeling really low energy, a lot more tired and really wanting to give to myself. So I'll usually just like to cuddle up in my bed. I'll usually have some nice, yummy, and overall a bit nourishing snacks, things like dark chocolate, maybe even some popcorn or something a little bit more light. And usually if I have more energy, I will journal and really try to get more in depth into my cycle. Again, this is a really dark time. This is shadow energy work. So you could really get still here and kind of notice the different themes that are coming up for you, and journaling, releasing, being able to process what we're going through, since this is a really highly emotional time as well. And again, these are all recommendations. Please, I really invite you to get still and listen to what's coming up for you. This may not be anything that resonates with your bleed. You might have more energy, you might feel more creative. Maybe you want to do some art or, dance, or who knows? Maybe you want to practice Tantra. It's not up to me, it's up to you. These are all just light recommendations and practices that I like to follow that have helped me. Usually we are feeling a bit more introverted. So on to our next phase, which is the follicular phase. In this phase, it can be symbolized as our inner spring. It is time of renewal, of new beginnings, birth, fertility. During this time, I really like to connect it to a really symbolic way of a fresh start. New beginnings, maybe we're trying new things, feeling more social. This can be connected to our light feminine energy, where we're feeling more playful, more creative, more open. This can also be connected to that maiden energy, the archetypes. And really during this time, I am feeling a bit more light, a bit more out there. I try to incorporate a bit more workout routines. And this can also be connected to the waxing moon as it starts to grow until we reach the full moon, which again is the ovulatory. So it's really that sweet, flowy, and open new energy. So this is a great time to start new habits, new practices. If you've been wanting to start something new, this is a great time to really gain the advantage of your hormonal cycles and your energy levels to be able to incorporate that and really help your mind to try to follow this new routine or a new practice you may be wanting to incorporate. As far as a workout routine, I really like to incorporate a bit more HIIT, more walking, running, maybe even hiking. This is a great time to start to incorporate a bit more high energy levels of workouts, maybe even dancing or going and joining a new workout class. It's really up to you, but again, your hormones are on the rise, and this is also an amazing time to start planning new things, planting those seeds for the summertime as they are born and birthed and are fully grown. So we went from our winter to our spring, so symbolically meaning we're planting new seeds, new ideas, visions, and manifestations for us to birth during the summertime. As far as food, our body is still kind of replenishing from our bleed since we just lost a lot of iron. So it's important to remineralize. And so I really like to incorporate a lot more veggies, more fresh foods. And since we are no longer bleeding, you can start to symbolize this as a more cooler time. Food that are really great during this time are like zucchini, carrots, corn, more of those leafy greens as well to again remineralize, and even things like pumpkin seeds, flax seeds. All of those will help our estrogen to start to naturally rise, since that is what we're wanting. Our hormones are slowly starting to rise up here. And so being able to nourish and really use food as our medicine and re-nourishing our bodies is such a beautiful way to really start to hormonally balance, especially during this time. If you are struggling with, some kind of, health problem like endo or PCOS, severe cramps, being able to heal through food and using it to really balance those hormones is an amazing way to start to see subtle but really amazing results in your body. I know myself, I used to struggle with severe bloating, cramps, all of these things. And don't get me wrong, I still occasionally will feel them, but it is nothing compared to when I was not connected to my cycles at all, to where I was just working out like crazy, my whole cycle, eating all kinds of random foods, exasperating my productivity levels. Get still, get curious, and listen to what your body is calling for you. Also, another food suggestion is some good, yummy, fermented foods. This is amazing for that gut lining, that gut health, and really those amazing probiotics that are gonna help your digestive system to start to get back in this flow after our winter, being able to really nourish ourselves on a habitual and spiritual plane. So things I like to do are, again, things like vision boarding, starting to really visualize and start to incorporate that manifestation onto what this new cycle is bringing for me. You could also practice things like more intense breath works. You could do things like dancing, art, more creative group activities. Since your energy is a little bit more higher, you may be feeling more social. And even some things I love to do is being able to start something new, joining some kind of class, or even going on a swim, something that requires a bit more of my full-on mindful mind-to-body connection, because I am feeling a bit more high energy, and this is a new beginning. This is a birth time, so it's amazing to cultivate that inner spring and start to blossom new ideas into our life. So going on into our next phase, which is the ovulatory phase. And this can be connected to our inner summer. It is where our hormones, our energy, and our levels are at their highest. And of course, these are all connected to the light feminine. So you may be feeling a bit more sensual, more high energy. You may be more playful, imaginative, or even feeling a bit more high libido, sensual, sexual. Really an amazing time to execute. This is a time to go, to do, to dream, to love. During ovulation time, it can also be connected to the full moon, because the moon is fully lit, she's fully illuminated, she's feeling fiery, wild. Maybe she wants to practice some Wicca, I don't know, go out in nature, dance naked, whatever. And our body in this time is ready to have a baby, right? So if we can conceive during this time, then we can also conceive and birth our ideas, our plans. What were we planning during our springtime that can now be birthed into reality? Maybe it's starting that project, that business idea. Maybe you go on that trip or plan that dinner date, go out with your loved one, or even just a time to even give back to yourself. What is something that you've been wanting to do that you've been putting off? Maybe you want to start a new channel, a podcast, start writing that book. This is all a great time to incorporate this, because Our communication levels are also a lot better, and as well as our productivity levels, our energy, and we're probably feeling a bit more out there. So really tying that into what we desire out of life can be an amazing way to tap into that creative, cyclical healing energy and really honor that divine feminine. So during this time, I really try to energy manage my plans during this time. So usually my biggest days, if I want to plan a birthday or some kind of event, I will really try my best to plan it on or around my ovulatory stage. And as far as working out, this is an amazing time to do that extra heavy weight training. You can even do some HIIT, joining some kind of high impact class, and also even maybe even going out, dancing, twerking, whatever you like to do, girl, go do that, because at this time your body is really calling for that high energy extrovertedness. And it can even be seen as a little bit more masculine because we have higher testosterone and, of course, higher libido. So you can all channel that into your creativity, which is that sacral energy, abundance, finance, and really incorporating it throughout our life. And last but not least, my loves, our last phase is the luteal phase. So this can be connected to our inner fall time. This is a time when our energy levels are slowly starting to decrease. And during the luteal phase, it can be connected as the waning moon. So the moon went from full to waning, which is slowly starting to lose its light and decrease and go back into wintertime. So this is an amazing time to, again, start to go inward. And our luteal phase is actually our longest phase. So I kind of like to break it into two. During the first half of my luteal, I still kind of have the high, little post-summer energy after my ovulatory time. So I still have a bit of the higher energy, and then towards the second half, I definitely start to feel a bit more low-key, more introverted, probably a little bit more sensitive. And this again can be connected as the dark feminine energy. We are starting to feel again more introverted, more sensitive, more intuitive. We are starting to want to draw back in and give energy back to ourselves. And again, as far as with routines and your job or career, you're not always going to be able to 100% connect your cycle to your life. Again, some women can. That's amazing. I'm so happy for you. But the reality is, majority of us women have school, career, you have families, responsibilities. So being able to weave in the practices that we can to energetically manage our bodily fluctuations, if you will, is so amazing. But being able to start to close ties, close projects, ending things and wrapping things up from the summertime and starting to close it. So this could be like starting to wrap up that business deal, that project, posting your video, finishing your video, starting to, you know, incorporate that kind of nesting, if you will. So you're starting to cultivate things to support you during the wintertime. Like animals usually, you know, cultivate foods and nuts and vegetables to try to sustain themselves during the wintertime, which is the coolest season. So symbolically, this can be seen as maybe even meal prepping, starting to budget and create practices that will be able to hold you during that lowest energy field, like washing all your clothes, or you know, finishing that letter, those emails that you needed to finish, so that you can rest and give yourself that energy to be able to wind back down. As far as working out, again, I like to chunk this in two parts because the first part of my luteal, I'm still feeling a bit more high energy, a little bit up here, and then it slowly starts to weave down. So I will still practice some light intensity workouts in the beginning of my luteal, maybe some light weights, smaller reps, smaller weight, and even some strength training, calisthenics, And then during my second half, I will start to tone it down and really do some light yoga, something that is a bit more low impact. And then towards the very end, I will either completely stop working out or simply just go on walks, light stretching. As far as food, this is probably one of the most crucial times to incorporate those whole, nourishing, multivitamin foods to really give your body the space and time in preparing for the winter. So this is a great time for starting to eat more baked vegetables. Root vegetables are amazing because they have complex carbohydrates that are amazing for your body and really being able to incorporate those nourishing vitamins, as well as more warming foods. Again, we're connecting it to the seasons and our body is starting to cool down. So thinking about fall time, you're feeling more cozy, more introverted, wanting to give to yourself. I really like to incorporate beans and iron-rich foods to prepare and mineralize up our body for the next season. Those are all of our 4 seasons, my love. Thank you so much. I really felt super called to create a video like this because I know I'm not the only female out there that is struggling or was struggling through connecting with my menstrual cycle, understanding it, what it means, how my body is showing up differently in my spirit. And there's a lot of shame and a lot of generational stagnance when it comes to talking about our periods. It's remembering what our past lineage and the magic that our menstrual cycle offers. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any recommendations or are still having any questions about a phase or what this means for you, please feel free to comment down below. I'm just so excited and super extremely grateful to be on this journey and hopefully showing up more consistently as well. I'm still learning lots of things and being able to create more of a seasonal alignment and synchronicity within my own life. Thank you so much to everyone if you made it this far. I appreciate you from the depths of my heart and my womb. I really honor you here and thank you for showing up exactly as you are, my earth angels. And until next time, my loves, bye.